So your advanced syllabus is almost nearing its end. I don't know about the other track. I think you guys are doing magnetism there, but over here we have modern physics. Modern physics has, in general, these 4 chapters. A lot of it is related to physical chemistry, yes. A lot of photoelectric effect is in atomic structure. Bohr's atomic model is also in atomic structure. And in fact, even in nuclear physics, you have a chapter called as wave optics is done. Wave optics is done. Oh, ho gaya. In nuclear physics, you have a chapter called, you have a section called as radioactivity. And radioactivity is again a chapter in physical chemistry. Okay. And then कुछ लोग थोड़ा इधर उधर KVPY वगैरह पढ़ के you probably have some ideas. Nonetheless, we'll do all of this as they are doing it for the first time. Of course, photoelectric and Bohr's atomic model, specifically those concepts which you've already seen in chemistry, we'll again quickly revise. But we'll need to, in a way, keep time for the other topics as well. Okay, so this is just a brief overview of what lies ahead in modern physics. With this, your advanced syllabus gets over. Bear in mind, this particular chapter, X-rays, is only in the advanced syllabus. This is not there in the mains syllabus, okay, or the BITS syllabus, in fact. But yeah, it's there in the advanced syllabus. ये होने के बाद, then we will do some main specific chapters. I don't know which track it's going to be, whether it's going to be track 1 or track 2. We'll see. Okay? But there'll be some main specific chapters which will get over. Okay. Or फिर हाँ UND भी है, that also we'll convey to PACE and we'll schedule lectures for UND as well. Okay, once this is done, so don't panic. See what you can. एक question था ना, ठीक है. Just see what you can learn from it. UND का units and dimensions का था पेपर में या errors का था? किसका question था? Errors का था. Okay. Cool. Percentage error, I think. Okay, I think fine. Never mind. Good, Ayush. Good, Hardik. Nice. Okay, great. Chalo, so let's start with photoelectric effect. Thoda, let's just start कर लेते हैं. But yeah, this is one thing I did with the other batch as well. See, what we're going to do is, we have quite a few chapters. Okay, so I can foresee each chapter taking a minimum of 2 lectures, and that is if we save time in writing. Okay, if we save time in writing, to take a minimum of 2 lectures. Now, given that there are 4 chapters, you can imagine ki, minimum of 8 lectures, minimum of 4 weeks. So modern physics is going to take a month, and it can get longer if we are going to sit and write everything, because I've noticed that when we write, there's some students who take a lot of time to write. So I have I have 2 suggestions. One is, the best suggestion is, you don't write at all, because these are going to be there in the drive. A lot of this stuff is going to be theoretical. You may just want to read it. There is no way I know of that I can make a PDF. I have a PDF of individual pages. Okay, I don't have a PDF of, I mean, there's nothing in this app which allows me to make a combined PDF. That's unfortunate. But there'll be a PDF of individual pages. If you guys know how to merge PDFs, guys, if you guys know how to merge PDFs, feel free to use whatever app you know. All my stuff is there on the drive. तुम्हें अगर merge करना आता है, if you think it's not a big deal, please you can download it, merge it, send it to me, or send it on your group, and I can, and then you can teach me also how it's done. Let me unmute Parth. Yes, Parth.
Sir, it's actually quite easy to make a OneNote PDF.
Is it? How is that?
So if you could open on your laptop, if you open OneNote, and if you can see that notebook, if you press on print, so first it'll show you an option to print the page. But then when you go down, it says print the whole book. So you can print books itself. So when you print, instead of selecting a printer, save it to PDF, so that converts the whole thing into a PDF.
Achha, so you're saying that option is there on the laptop, not on this app, is it? Hello.
I'm not sure about the tablet, but yeah, it's on the laptop. I've done that with my notes previously.
Okay, cool. Chalo, I'll see that. We'll see if that happens. If that happens, that's good. Okay, so kar lete hain. So yeah, that's one option. You could, we can इसका PDF बन जाएगा. Let's try what Parth says. PDF बन जाएगा, डाउनलोड करेंगे. सेकंड बात है, ठीक है, that's one option. तुम डाउनलोड करके पढ़ सकते हो. दूसरी ऑप्शन है तुम्हें लिखना ही है. Okay, if you feel only when you write you understand stuff, then please you can do that outside of class. Okay, if you want to do that, if you want to write and then you can understand stuff, then please do that outside of class, because I think हमें ये target रखना है. दो these are actually, this is one chapter. The way PACE is treating it, if you notice the amount of time we have left for it, they're treating it as one chapter. है ना. मैं बता रहा हूँ कि अच्छा ये 4 और सब चैप्टर्स या सब टॉपिक्स में डिवाइड हो रहा है. But PACE is like treating it as one chapter. You saw how modern physics was just mentioned in your TT. So we need to be a little fast, है ना. एक महीने में we can finish this, then that'll be kind of a good target. And some of the stuff you already know. So to save time, let's do this. Okay, to save time, please, you can write either you can write outside of class, or if you, especially only if you feel कि तुम्हें बस लिखने में ही समझ में आता है, then please do that. Otherwise, don't write. Your exam is it's not a long time away. You can just refer to, you've written the entire year, you can refer to typed notes for this. Okay, most of the stuff is typed, so you won't really have a problem in the handwriting. Yes, I can upload it before the lecture as well. NCERT is definitely a good place to read from, but I would say that I have in a way tried to pick the best out of all books, and heavily referring to the NCERT, I've made my notes. So you would not need to read the NCERT if you read my notes, but by all means you can read the NCERT. That's one place, definitely it's a good place to read modern physics. Okay, cool. All right, it's a mix of everything. There's theoretical stuff, there is solving stuff as well. Okay. And I'll tell you along the way what is just going to be a theoretical idea, and what is going to be an idea from which numerical questions can come. I'll also tell you on the way what is specific to the advanced syllabus, what is specific to the main syllabus. Okay, and again, what is the weightage and all of modern physics. So weightage, so basically modern physics can comprise of 4 sub-chapters. The overall idea is they want to give at least 1 question per chapter. So that's kind of the idea. So in your advanced exam, at least, given that there are 2 papers, you may get 1 question from each chapter. So modern physics, you can expect like 3-4 questions to come. Whereas in your mains exam, since you have only 25 questions, right? And I'm sure you have more chapters than them. So then in that case, in your mains paper, maybe 2-3 questions may come. So it's completely out of, it's a probably based thing. There is no hard and fast weightage. They try to cover everything. Okay? And you'd want to, at least for your mains exam, you'd want to go in knowing almost everything. You don't need to have you don't need to be able to solve difficult questions, but you need to know everything for the mains exam. क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि तुम जो 2-3 चैप्टर छोड़ोगे उसी से इजी क्वेश्चंस आएगा और तुम एग्जाम में मार्क्स लूज करोगे. तो ये वेटेज वगैरह बोर्ड्स नहीं है जिधर ऑप्शंस है वगैरह, है ना. दिस इज a very important exam in our career, so please make sure you know a little bit of everything. Solving Cengage and all would not be useful. इसपे थोड़ा, if you solve, you'll get a grasp of the idea. My recommendation with the HCV is, you'll always have the solutions there. So it's such a popular book, you'll have solutions, so you can easily cross check. That's my recommendation. Okay? Yes, Parth. Yes. ठीक है, अभी start कर रहे हैं, हाँ? All right, let's quickly start. So, excuse me. You do not need any prerequisite knowledge for this chapter. You should, of course, remember something from atomic structure. I'm relying कि थोड़ा मैं वैसे हर चीज वापस define कर रहा हूँ, but I'm relying on the fact you have heard these things before. Okay, some of these things. All right. So as we're starting with photoelectric effect, as we are getting into it, let's talk about this term called as the work function of a metal. Okay. So what is this idea? So we know that all metals have free electrons. Okay, all metals have free electrons. The electrons can come out of the metallic surface only if it has sufficient energy to pull or to overcome the metal's attractive pull. Right? So the electrons can come out of the metal surface only if it has sufficient energy to overcome the metal's attractive pull. Metal is comprised of all these positive ions, right? So if the electron is going to leave the metal, it needs to overcome the electrostatic attraction the metal is applying on the electron. थोड़ा वो इतना energy उसको चाहिए निकलने के लिए. This minimum energy required by the electron to escape from the surface of the metal is called as the work function of the metal. Okay, so the minimum energy an electron needs to escape from the surface of the metal is called the work function of the metal. It's a property of the metal. Now, giving this energy does not guarantee the emission of the electron. Okay, giving this energy does not guarantee the emission of the electron. Why? As the electron may lose energy due to collisions before it gets to leave. Giving energy does not guarantee the emission of the electron. The electron will lose energy due to collisions before it gets to leave. So there is the metal's crystal lattice structure. Okay? So by the time an electron leaves, it may collide with a metallic ion, it may collide with another electron, it may dissipate its energy in this manner. So there's no guarantee that giving this energy, an electron would leave. इतना एनर्जी नहीं दिया तो इलेक्ट्रॉन निकलेगा ही नहीं, पर इतना एनर्जी देने पे गारंटी नहीं है कि इलेक्ट्रॉन निकलेगा. इलेक्ट्रॉन निकल सकता है. ओके, इलेक्ट्रॉन निकल सकता है. However, this is the minimum energy at which an emission could take place. So when we give energy equal to the work function, we are not sure if one specific electron will come out, but what we can say is some electrons would come out. Let's say, for instance, if we give that kind of energy to 1,000 electrons, some fraction of that 1,000 could come out. Maybe 200 could come out. Okay? We don't know exactly how many would come out, but some fraction could come out. So that's the idea. Electrons may or may not come out, but itna minimum to dena padega. Itna minimum energy dena padega nikalne ke liye. All right. Now, there are three types of emission based on how this energy is imparted. Okay, three types of emission based on how this energy is imparted. If anyone has any doubts, please interrupt and ask. The first electronic emission is called as thermionic emission, which takes place when we heat a metal. All right, so by heating a metal, the electrons' kinetic energy increases inside the metal itself. For एक point के बाद, it will have enough energy to break free from the metal's attractive pull and it will leave. So ये हो गया emission by heating. Right? Sometimes we use a tungsten filament उसको heat करते हैं, and at a sufficiently high temperature, it will emit electrons. Fortunately for us, we are not going to study this in more detail. इसको detail में नहीं पढ़ेंगे. This is for your information. एक और type of emission होता है field emission. Okay, this takes place when we apply a very strong electric field. All right, so this is what you see when there are sparks between a positive plate and a negative plate. What are sparks? Essentially, right? They are moving charged particles between the positive plate and the negative plate, right? So there's a gap between them, and there's the potential difference is really high. So this takes place when there's a large voltage, large potential difference. And when there's a large potential difference, there's a strong field between them, and that field pulls out, the field pulls out electrons from the negatively charged plate and deposits them on the positively charged plate. So this kind of emission is called as field emission. Okay, you can of course easily understand why that happens, but that's again not something we'll study in more detail. What we'll study in detail is third one. Okay, that's what this chapter is about, and that is photoelectric emission. So what is photoelectric emission? This is the definition. When light of suitable frequency illuminates a metal surface, when light of suitable frequency illuminates a metallic surface, electrons called as photoelectrons are emitted from the metal surface. Okay? So when light of suitable frequency illuminates a metallic surface, electrons called as photoelectrons are emitted from the metal surface. The emitted electrons are called as photoelectrons. And this statement somehow seems to imply that light has energy. Okay, so light in a way is imparting energy to these electrons. We'll see how. We'll see that in more detail. Yes, Sunit, you're right. Right, so we'll see how that energy is imparted in more detail. But light is somehow imparting energy to these electrons, and these electrons are being emitted from the metallic surface because of that. Yes, this is called as threshold frequency. Yes, the energy has to do with is provided via photons. We're going to see all of this. This is not what we call as excitation. Sorry, this is not. So excitation is an aspect where you talk about electrons which are bound to the atom. Okay, the electrons bound to the atom, and then we talk about the electron jumping to a higher orbit. वो Bohr's atom में आएगा. This is here we are not exciting the electrons. Here our electrons are already free, right? In a metallic body, you have valence electrons, especially, are free to roam around the surface. Right? That's true for all conductors. So here we are talking about those free electrons leaving the surface altogether. Okay, that's not excitation. Excitation is something we'll see in Bohr's atomic model. Second one is because of an electric field. Second one is because of an electric field. वो electric field के कारण lightning discharge again. No, that's all moving electrons. But lightning, of course, metal nahi hai, but in general, like when you see a spark between the plates of a capacitor, if you take two highly, if you take a strong positive and negative plate and bring them close, the electric field between them will be so strong that the electric field will suck electrons from the negative plate and deposit on the positive plate. And you see sparks between them. You see sparks between them. Okay, so that is because of your strong electric field. Got the idea? Okay. Photoelectrons are no different from normal electrons. Absolutely. ये बस नाम है वो फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्ट में जो इलेक्ट्रॉन निकलता है उसको नाम दिया है फोटो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स. It's basically an electron. ठीक है, just a fancy name. ऐसा फोटो और भी वर्ड्स के सामने ये लोग डालने वाला है. करंट के सामने फोटो करंट डालेंगे तो you'll see that. Okay. The energy given is with respect to the valence shell or ground state. Again, for the last time, these are not electrons which are bound to the atom. In a metal, you have your lattice structure and you have electrons which are now free to move in the metal. Okay, you have electrons which can freely move. Normally they are spread out based on the electrostatic repulsions between electrons. So they are spread out evenly, but they are in a way free to move. Right? That's why that's the whole idea behind conductors. Charge is not localized on these conductors. The electrons could move. What have the guys done in electrostatics? Electrostatics का फंडा है. Diagram कौन सा? Conductor का diagram. Electrons are free to move. Positive charge is localized in the lattice structure. Electrons are free to move. Right? So basically क्या होता है, ये जब surface पे electrons रहेगा, तो वो electrons close to the surface when light falls on them, those electrons take up energy and they get emitted. Okay, got the idea? Electrons on the surface are taking energy and they're getting emitted. Don't confuse this with Bohr's atomic model. These electrons are not bound to the atom. Okay? These are loose. It's a metallic body, not a hydrogen atom. Okay. Cool. So that was the idea. I hope some of your doubts are clear. Then we have the main syllabus mentions Hertz's observations and Leonard's observations. So I'll briefly tell you about it. It's just again just a theoretical idea. Mains mein is pe only a theoretical question is possible. It in a way gives you a history of how the photoelectric effect was observed. So the phenomena of photoelectric effect was discovered in 1887 by this guy, Heinrich Hertz. Year and all is not important in my opinion, but you never know. During his electromagnetic waves experiment. So this guy was in the middle of some other experiment. Okay, वो कुछ और कर रहा था. What was he doing? Hertz was investigating the production of electromagnetic waves. Yani ki light. Okay, he was investigating the production of electromagnetic waves by means of a high voltage spark discharge. I'll explain what that is. That is basically the jumping of electrons from one plate to another due to a high potential difference. So field emission. अभी जो पिछले पेज में देखा ना, field emission के कारण वो देख रहा था production of electromagnetic waves, study कर रहा था वो. Now what is this going on? Just to we'll not get into full depth because that was not the actual thing relevant to photoelectric effect. वो कुछ और करते वक्त उसको photoelectric effect दिख गया. But वो क्या कर रहा था? Just to briefly explain that to you. You guys are learning now magnetism, right? You're learning कि moving charges moving with a constant velocity create a magnetic field, right? That's what you're learning. I don't know if your sir has mentioned yet. It's not started. Oh yeah, it's the first day. Okay, never mind. So you'll learn कि charges moving with a constant velocity create a magnetic field. Could be in the form of current also creates, and even just solitary moving charges also create a magnetic field. That is if they're moving with constant velocity. Once you learn electromagnetic waves, and maybe sir in magnetism also will mention this point, कि accelerating charges produce electromagnetic waves. Accelerating charges produce electromagnetic waves. Okay, तो वो Maxwell's equation से आता है कि if a charge is accelerating, if you oscillate it sinusoidally, or if it accelerates, it creates an electric field as well as a magnetic field, which in a way continue to, let's not get too much into that, but they somehow continue to support each other, and they end up creating an electromagnetic wave. This is the phenomena behind which all our communication systems work. Okay, how are we communicating right now? Your phone is receiving signals from some satellite or receiving signals from some tower, right? And even the radio and all, we keep receiving signals from here and there. All these signals are in the form of light. The light carries the message. The light ka frequency is adjusted to carry the message. How do we create light of such precise frequency? कि उसमें एक message भी छुपा हुआ है. How do we create light of such frequencies? We create it by, every phone has a transmitter, every device has a transmitter and a receiver. What is inside the transmitter? An accelerating charge. So when you accelerate a charge, you end up creating an electromagnetic wave. So that's the idea. मैं थोड़ा off course गया. Again, these are things for another chapter. But the point is, I believe Maxwell's equations came before this guy, so he was probably checking कि Maxwell equation के हिसाब से ये accelerating charge जो जब इलेक्ट्रॉन एक प्लेट से दूसरा प्लेट में जंप करता है ना, it will be accelerating during that process. तो जंप करते वक्त वो इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक वेव क्रिएट करना चाहिए, ये वो इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहा था. During the jump, these electrons should because they're moving, they're accelerating, they should create an electromagnetic wave. So that is what he was studying. But ये करते करते उसको और क्या दिख गया वो देखो. So Hertz observed, now this is the point, he observed कि high voltage sparks across the detector loop. Now don't ask me what is detector loop. Something which detected how the sparks were, right? Or maybe something which is detecting the EM waves produced. But basically high voltage sparks across the detector loop, these sparks were enhanced. मतलब और electrons emit हो रहे थे. Okay, spark itself is moving electrons. Spark enhance होना मतलब और electrons emit हो रहे हैं. When were these sparks enhanced? When the emitter plate was illuminated by UV light from an arc lamp. So don't ask me what an arc lamp is. It's a source of UV light. Okay? So when UV light from an arc lamp, from its source basically, fell on this emitter plate, the plate that was emitting the electrons, the amount of electrons that were being emitted increased. The spark became bigger. What was his conclusion? देखो पहले तो spark potential difference के कारण था. पहले एक spark potential difference के कारण था. अब UV rays गिरने के कारण spark और बड़ा हो गया. So what did he conclude from this? Why is the spark becoming bigger? Why are the number of electrons emitted becoming bigger? The obvious conclusion is that in addition to field pulling out the electrons, even the light falling on the electrons are somehow giving them enough energy to escape. So he thus observed that the light imparted energy to the electrons, enabling them to escape out of the metal surface. So this was his observation. You guys understood what his observation was? Any doubt on this page? Okay, great. Now, that's एक बार हमेशा एग्जाम के पहले एक बार पढ़ लो. Just know what Hertz did. Can I explain the second part? Second part ही main part था. तो basically क्या हुआ, ये जो spark दिख रहा है ना plates के बीच में, okay, don't worry about what the detector loop was basically there to, it's connected with this experiment. Okay, it was there to maybe detect the electromagnetic waves. Okay, all right. Detector loop is not the important part. The point is what he saw was this spark that was there between the negative plate and the positive plate. वो spark और भी बढ़ गया जब UV light गिरा इस plate पे. Implying what? Implying कि the UV light is further causing electrons to jump from the negative plate. पहले तो एक electric field के कारण the electrons are moving opposite the field, so they're leaving the negative plate. एक तो electric field के कारण हो रहा था, उसके ऊपर light के कारण और भी enhance हो गया. Okay, that's the essence of what he did. UV light गिरने पे और भी बड़ा spark दिख गया. मतलब light भी निकाल रहा है electrons को, light भी energy दे रहा है electrons को निकलने के लिए. This is what he realized. Okay, then came two guys, Leonard and not sure how to pronounce the name of the second guy. I'll just say Hallwatch. Okay, so in fact, the NCERT mentions these two names together. Leonard and Hallwatch both worked together, but for some reason, your main syllabus has not written Hallwatch. I don't know if they were lazy or it's intentional, but they've not written Hallwatch. So I'm going to tell you about Leonard's observations, and what Hallwatch also did was similar. वो ऐसा FYI for your information लिखा है. Okay, please don't ask me ये कौन सा एग्जाम का नाम है. FYI for your information. Hallwatch क्या दिखता है वो भी बता रहा हूँ. ठीक है. इतना एक दो ही लाइन है Hallwatch का, 4 ही लाइन है. तो लेनर्ड का पहले देख लो. Philip Leonard observed that when UV light is allowed to fall on the emitter plate of an evacuated chamber enclosing two metallic plates, current flows in the circuit. So this is actually the setup of our this is actually the setup of our photoelectric experiment. So we'll see that setup in a little while, but basically just to give you an idea of what it looks like. तो यहाँ पे ऐसा एक negative plate है, और वहां पे ऐसा पॉजिटिव प्लेट है, ठीक है। सो देयर आर 2 प्लेट्स, और नेगेटिव वाला प्लेट इलेक्ट्रॉन को एमिट करेगा, तो नेगेटिव वाला प्लेट इज आर एमिटर प्लेट, ओके, नेगेटिव वाला प्लेट इज आर एमिटर प्लेट, ओके। एंड जब यहाँ पे यूवी लाइट गिरेगा, तो बेसिकली यहाँ से इलेक्ट्रॉन्स एमिट हो जाएंगे. इट्स एन evacuated chamber. You don't want any air inside. You don't want the electrons to collide with the air molecules. So it's completely in vacuum. Electrons emit होके पॉजिटिव प्लेट की तरफ चले जाएंगे. This was, and ये पॉजिटिव प्लेट की तरफ जाने के बाद in a way the circuit is complete, so you'll have some current flowing through the circuit. This is what he observed. Okay, this is what Philip Leonard observed. So he basically had this entire experimental setup in place. He also observed that as soon as the UV rays were stopped, the current flow called as the photocurrent also stopped. तो इस कि यूवी रेज हटाने पे करंट का फ्लो बंद हो जाता है. वो करंट को फोटो करंट बोला है ना, हर चीज के सामने फोटो डाल दिया बिकॉज इट्स रिलेटेड टू दिस एक्सपेरिमेंट. तो दैट फोटो करंट का फ्लो आल्सो स्टॉप कब व्हेन यूवी रेज वर स्टॉप फॉर ऑब्वियस रीजंस. यूवी रे के कारण ही वो इलेक्ट्रॉन निकल रहा था, ठीक है. Moreover, another thing he saw also was even if the UV rays ka frequency was lowered below a certain value, even if the UV rays were lowered below a certain frequency called as the threshold frequency, we'll see that in more detail, तभी भी photo current बंद हो रहा था. So this is what this guy has observed, ठीक है. फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्ट हो रहा है, यूवी रेज डालने के कारण इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आर जंपिंग फ्रॉम द माइनस प्लेट टू द पॉजिटिव प्लेट and completing the circuit and current is flowing. But UV rays हटाने पे current बंद हो जाता है, that's obvious. But UV rays का frequency एक value से कम करने के बाद भी current बंद हो जाता है. This is what you observe. Okay. Along with Hallwatch, he studied the photocurrent. He studied how this photocurrent varied with the frequency and intensity of light and with the potential difference between the plates. So he saw how this current varies, or this photocurrent depends on intensity of light, frequency of light, and potential difference between the plates. And we'll study all of this in more detail आगे जाके. Okay, so we'll see what he made graphs, and we'll study those graphs as well. So basically he did all of this, he and Hallwatch. अब Hallwatch एक और चीज किया उसने. I hope you understood what Leonard did. Okay, we'll see the experimental setup again, so I'm going to erase that. Okay, we'll see that experimental setup again. Hallwatch क्या किया? He observed that UV light falling on a negatively charged zinc plate can eventually make it neutral. How? A single zinc negatively charged zinc plate is becoming neutral. हो क्या रहा है? वो UV light इलेक्ट्रॉन्स को एनर्जी देके इलेक्ट्रॉन्स एमिट हो रहा है जिंक प्लेट से, और एक इलेक्ट्रॉन्स एमिट होते होते जिंक प्लेट न्यूट्रल हो जाता है. और क्या होता है उसके बाद? एंड देन मोर एंड मोर पॉजिटिव. सो इवेंचुअली मतलब न्यूट्रल के बाद इट्स इवन पॉसिबल कि इलेक्ट्रॉन्स फर्दर कीप गेटिंग एमिटेड, एंड वंस फर्दर मोर एंड मोर इलेक्ट्रॉन्स गेट एमिटेड बाय photoelectric emission, your zinc plate will become positive. So this is what he observed. UV light say he can make a negative zinc plate neutral and then more and more positive due to the emission of electrons called as photoelectrons. So this is this is what their observations were. Now I hope you guys got that. In this there's no question of current because this is a single plate. In this there's no question of current, but naturally एक point के बाद it will stop because UV light जितना energy देता है ना, उतना energy काफी नहीं होगा, क्योंकि इलेक्ट्रॉन जब निकलने की कोशिश करेगा है ना, then you have, in addition to the work function, now you have the other net charge also of your zinc plate, and that net charge is going to pull the electrons back. Yes, Prithvi. तो starting में negative था, as the electrons get emitted वो neutral होता है. If you continue doing the experiment, positive हो सकता है. Okay, if frequency is enough, if it's a high energy wave, वो और emit होते जाएगा, और emit होते जाएगा. पॉजिटिव भी हो सकता है. That's what you observe. Of course, एक point के बाद you'll expect it to stop because it will become more and more difficult to remove that electron. All right. अब इसमें देखो, इसमें interesting चीज क्या था? According to the wave theory of light, there shouldn't have been a threshold frequency. Okay, देखो wave theory of light क्या बोलता है? So according to wave theory of light, we know light has some intensity, right? So it has some intensity. We have not seen the formula yet, but it depends on, it will depend like the other intensity formulas. It will depend on amplitude ka square. It will depend on frequency. So light has some intensity. What we noticed was high intensity light below the threshold frequency should have provided enough energy to emit electrons. एक example बताता हूँ. Spotlight. The spotlight you see on stages. That's a high intensity light beam, right? It almost blinds you. You can't see the audience also if that spotlight is on you. So it's a high intensity light beam, but it is visible light. Interestingly, spotlight के कारण electrons ऐसा emit नहीं होते. And that is weird. By the wave theory of nature, that's weird, of light, that's weird. Why? Because spotlight का intensity ज़्यादा है. We were thinking कि light is passing on energy to the electrons. स्पॉटलाइट का इंटेंसिटी इतना ज्यादा है, मतलब इतना एनर्जी उस मेटल पे गिर रहा है, वो एनर्जी इलेक्ट्रॉन को लेना चाहिए और निकलना चाहिए. इवन इफ द फ्रीक्वेंसी से क्या हुआ, व्हाई इज देयर अ थ्रेशोल्ड फ्रीक्वेंसी, राइट? सो दिस वाज अ वेरी पजलिंग मैटर. व्हाई यूवी लाइट से कम, व्हाई विजिबल लाइट से इलेक्ट्रॉनिक एमिशन नहीं हो रहा है, फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक एमिशन क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? ज्यादा इंटेंसिटी, ज्यादा एनर्जी डाल रहा है, फिर भी नहीं हो रहा है. So that was quite weird. Okay. This doesn't happen. High intensity light below threshold frequency, okay, electrons don't get emitted. Spotlight say electrons don't get emitted. Also, for low intensity light above the threshold frequency, one thought ki sufficient time should be required for imparting enough energy for photo emission. So somebody thought ki chalo मान लो हम high energy UV rays बेचते हैं, but बहुत ही कम इंटेंसिटी का हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी यूवी रेज बेचते हैं, पर बहुत ही कम इंटेंसिटी का भेजेंगे, एकदम हल्का सा. तो व्हाट ही थॉट, एकदम हल्का सा यूवी रे के कारण थोड़ा तो टाइम लगना चाहिए फॉर द यूवी रेज एनर्जी टू बी पिक्ड अप बाय द इलेक्ट्रॉन एंड फॉर द इलेक्ट्रॉन टू लीव, है ना? दे कैन इवन बेस्ड ऑन द इंटेंसिटी ऑफ द यूवी रेज दे कैन कैलकुलेट कितना टाइम लगेगा उतना एनर्जी गिरने के लिए, है ना? And for the electron to take up that energy and leave. So whatever it was, everyone realized that there should be some time lag. If I use very low intensity light, थोड़ा तो time लगना चाहिए electron emit होने के लिए. Interestingly, this is also not the case. It is observed that in this case, emission is still instantaneous. तुरंत हो जाता है. So that was a very puzzling matter. ये ऐसा कैसे तुरंत हो रहा है? So the only possible explanation was by Einstein's theory on the particle nature of light. So then this is when Einstein came forward with his, on the photoelectric effect, he explained it using the particle nature of light. And I believe this was in 1905. And I think this is what he got the Nobel Prize for also, several years later. Okay, so that's what we're going to have a look at now. Einstein's theory on the particle nature of light. Any doubts so far? Leonard's observations याद कर लो, ये तुम्हारे मेंस के सिलेबस में एक्सप्लिसिटली लिखा है. कुछ न्यूमेरिकल नहीं आ सकता है, but theoretically you should know what it was. Okay. All right, no doubts. Great. So photon theory of light by Einstein, 1905. Okay, very interesting, groundbreaking. So he said light is made up of particles. What are these particles? They are like packets of energy. Okay, packets of energy called as photons. Okay, so light is not one continuous just beam of energy. It's made up of small packets of energy. Yeah, a small quanta of energy called as photons. All right. So energy, the energy of light, this is quantized, occurs in multiples of the energy of a photon. Smallest possible subdivision would be a photon. Okay? So photon carries the energy of light. It's like a packet of energy. Then he said that these photons travel with a speed of 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second in vacuum. So obvious, मतलब जो light जिस speed से travel करता है उसी speed से photon travel कर रहा है, because the photons make up light. Okay. But then of course he also adds this weird thing which when observed from all frames of reference. So what he's mentioning over here has to do with relativity. This is a relativity aspect. तो उसका जो दूसरा special काम था, है ना, general and special theory of relativity, वहां से is borrowing कि light का speed हर frame से same रहता है. How is the speed irrespective of the frame of reference? That is what relativity is about. Okay, it's not very trivial कि we can understand it. It's not that trivial कि we can just understand it based on what we have understood of mechanics. Okay, we have understood Newtonian mechanics. So it may sound weird, but it is the same in all frames. When you go in a different frame, your time dilates, length contracts. There are different things that take place. So this is something you can learn in your first year of engineering. Okay, so when you learn that, you will understand why the speed of light is the same in all frames. So basically, this is of essence to us now. He's just showing off from his other paper when observed from all frames of reference. Basically, he's saying photons travel with the speed of light. Okay. Then he says that the photon has zero rest mass. Its mass is not defined in the sense of Newtonian mechanics. Photon does not have any mass in the sense of Newtonian mechanics. Again, what does he mean when he says zero rest mass? Again, rest mass is the term we'll. So basically, he's again borrowing from his other work. You've heard of the equation E is equal to mc square. Yes, Ayush. Perfect. So E is equal to mc square. That equation implied that even a particle at rest had energy. We thought if a particle is moving, it has kinetic energy. Even if it is at rest, it has energy. And that was Einstein's equation. We'll see later as well in radioactivity. We'll see that. But that equation is E is equal to mc square. So even a particle at rest, just by virtue of having mass, had energy. Mass was energy. He's saying photon has zero rest mass. तो इसको वो mc square वाला energy नहीं है. इसका rest mass है ही नहीं. It's a massless particle. Okay, photon has no mass. It has an energy by itself. It's a packet of energy. It does not have the mc square wala energy. So these are some things he said. I hope you understood what he's saying. Just remember that photon has no mass. It has zero rest mass. Okay. Ayush, I'm not sure if that's correct. I'll have to look up that phrase. Okay. But I know it has zero rest mass. So now, in general, we never talk about the mass of a photon. Now, the energy of a photon is, so this is finally the formula which you have definitely seen, I hope. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen in atomic structure. So energy is h into nu, that's Planck's constant into frequency. Nu, nu is for frequency, okay, that's the symbol for frequency. Nu can also be written as speed of light by wavelength. So nu can be written as c by lambda. So energy is also hc by lambda. Energy is not half mv square. Please be clear of that. Okay, don't ये particles के लिए होता है. Okay, we'll also sometimes work with the energy of an electron, the energy of an alpha particle. So those are for particles कि उनका energy is half mv square, kinetic energy. Right? Energy of a photon is not defined that way. Please understand the difference. Okay, photon ka energy is h nu or hc by lambda. This is something brand new we're learning over here. In a sense, we're learning in the photon theory of light. You've of course heard it in atomic structure. Nee, so acha, koi bol raha hai, its mass is basically just not defined in the sense of Newtonian mechanics is not defined. That's it. We don't talk about the mass of a photon. We just say it has zero rest mass to imply it has zero energy from that area. इसका काइनेटिक एनर्जी के कारण कोई एनर्जी नहीं है, ना ही इसका क्या होता है mc स्क्वायर के कारण एनर्जी है। तो ये जैसे मास इज, कोई बोल रहा है मास इज जीरो बोले या नॉट डिफाइंड बोले, रेस्ट मास जीरो, रेस्ट जीरो बोलते हैं नॉर्मली, एक ही बात है, जीरो बोल दो, मतलब इतना फालतू क्वेश्चन उनको पूछना एग्जाम में, रेस्ट मास जीरो, जीरो है नॉट डिफाइंड है, गो फॉर जीरो, ठीक है। But technical way, the better statement is zero rest mass. Okay. Yeah. Now the emphasis of a photon is, the energy of a photon is h nu या hc by lambda. H is your Planck's constant. Okay, Planck's constant का value 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second. Please remember that. They'll give you this, but still remember that. In fact, यहाँ पे 6.6. So one good trick to you calculate things easily is replace that with 20 by 3. That'll make your life easy. Replace 6.6 by 20 by 3. Okay, replace 6.6 by 20 by 3. So that's the formula for H in the SI units. The formula for H in the electron volt unit is 4.15 into 10 to the power minus 15 electron volt second. Okay, electron volt second. That's another unit. 10 power minus 15 is called as Fermi. So the way 10 power minus 6 is micro, minus 9 is nano, minus 12 is pico, let's say minus 15 is Fermi. So 10 power minus 15 is Fermi. So this will be like Fermi electron volt second. Fermi electron volt second. That's your Planck's constant. Remember both, because remember both, and I'll show you how to convert from one form to the other. In fact, let's see that now. So basically, electron volt is another, you should know this, is another unit of energy. Just like joules is a unit of energy, electron volt is another unit of energy. Whoever asked the doubt just now, I'll reply to that. Hold on. And the conversion from 1 electron volt to 1 joule is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19. Is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19. It's like the amount of energy you need to move an electron through a potential difference of 1 volt. That's kind of the idea. All right. So it's 1 electron volt is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 joules. Yeah, 1.6 is E joules. Okay. तो यहाँ पे मैं E को कोटेशन के अंदर डाल रहा हूँ so that you realize is not part of the unit. इलेक्ट्रॉन वोल्ट एक यूनिट है और जूल्स एक यूनिट है. इलेक्ट्रॉन वोल्ट से जूल्स को कन्वर्ट करने में we end up, the conversion factor ends up being E. That is the magnitude of the charge of an electron. Okay, so that is the conversion factor. Electron volts से joule जाने में you have to multiply the number of electron volts with E, with 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, and you get the corresponding value in joules. Okay, remember joules is bigger, electron volt is small. So electron volt is a very small unit. Fermi का value क्या सवाल था? Fermi का value देते हैं क्या एग्जाम में? Fermi नहीं देंगे, Fermi what it stands for नहीं देंगे. Planck's constant का value normally देंगे, in one of the forms देंगे. Normally it's given in one of the forms. Okay? But I would suggest you remember both. I mean, this is, you know, used so often you wouldn't want to go back and cross check. इसके लिए 6.6 को तुम 20 by 3 यूज कर सकते हो. ये SI units वाला होगा. The electron volt is also quite important because work function typically electron volt के terms में दिया रहता है. So in those cases you'd want to use this unit. I'm just saying वो 10 power minus 15 जो होता है ना, उसको Fermi बोलते हैं. जैसा 10 power minus 9 को nano बोलते हैं, वैसा 10 power minus 15 को Fermi बोलते हैं. All right. यहाँ पे एक और यूजफुल सा चीज है कि ये जो 1 is if you're ever working with 1 upon h, right? If you're ever working with 1 upon h, here you have no problem. 3 by 20 is nice, but if you're working with 1 by 4.15, it is in fact very close to 0.24. This 0.2401 something. तो 1/4.15 is 0.24, वो याद कर लो if you need, है ना. Multiplication is easier than division. And कैसे याद करना है, सिंपल सी बात है. 1/4 is 0.25. 1/4 is 0.25. तो यहाँ पे 4 को थोड़ा बढ़ाओ, उसको थोड़ा एक कम कर लो. तो 1/4.15 is 0.24. Okay. Just reading the doubt. In exam, will they give values of all constants like other exams do? Of course. If you're saying other exams do, so JEE will be the first exam to do that. They're very well organized. They'll definitely give formulas for all the constants. Okay, but like ऐसा हो सकता है कि सब कुछ जैसे H को हर फॉर्म में नहीं देगा, हो सकता है H SI यूनिट में दे और किधर इलेक्ट्रॉन का वैल्यू दे. ठीक है, एटॉमिक नंबर्स जो भी जरूरत पड़ेगा वो सब देते हैं एक साथ एक जगह पे देंगे. I don't know how it is in the online system, whether it's right along with the question, but when we used to have those booklets offline exams, तब वो booklet के first page में देते थे. Booklet के first page में रहेगा. All right, done. No doubt in this. ठीक है. So that's your Planck's constant. Be familiar with that. Don't get scared of it. Momentum of a photon. Momentum of a photon is given by h by lambda. Energy was hc by lambda. यहाँ पे c missing है. That means this is energy divided by c. That's it. That's the formula you have for the momentum of a photon. Okay. E is h by lambda. यहाँ पे please don't get confused. Again, the photon is not a particle. Don't equate this with mv. फिर linear momentum of a particle को तुम √2m into kinetic energy लिखते हो ना. Don't equate any of that here. This is not equal to any of that stuff. This is a photon. It has no mass. Okay, that's it. Its momentum is defined as h by lambda. Its energy is defined as h nu. As simple as that. Nothing else. Okay. That's the momentum. During a collision involving photons, the interesting thing is momentum is conserved like in Newtonian mechanics. So the photon obeys the laws of conservation of momentum. That's why we have defined its momentum, because it has a kind of momentum in that sense. It collides in that sense, like other particles do. So during a collision involving photons, momentum is conserved like in Newtonian mechanics. But the number of photons needed, need not be conserved, as they can be absorbed or emitted. The number of photons change ho sakta hai. You know ki photons get absorbed, the photons get emitted, right? So they need not be conserved. Now, point 8 is very important. Point 8 mein we see ki when we talk about increasing the intensity of light in this chapter, very important, whenever we talk about increasing the intensity of light in this chapter, in any photoelectric experiment, it is usually implied that we increase the intensity without changing the frequency. क्योंकि actually क्या है, वैसे तो frequency change करोगे तो as you know energy is h nu, energy बढ़ेगा, intensity बढ़ेगा technically. But when we talk about changing the when we talk about increasing the intensity of light, we imply we are increasing the intensity not by changing the frequency. We're keeping the frequency the same. We are actually increasing the intensity just by using a more powerful source or using brighter light. So increasing the intensity means changing the intensity without changing the frequency. That is what is implied. Okay, please get that. Okay, normally smart students have a problem with this because they know intensity भी बढ़ना चाहिए frequency के साथ साथ. तो वो नहीं है. Intensity जब बढ़ा रहे, that means हम बढ़ा रहे without changing frequency. Same frequency के लिए brighter light use कर रहे हैं. What would that then mean? This would then mean कि we are increasing the number of photons. Frequency same रख रहे हैं, तो हर photon का energy same रह गया. Yes, Ayush, in that sense, yes. So intensity same, frequency same रखा, मतलब हर photon का energy same रखा, but intensity बढ़ाया मतलब number of photons बढ़ा दिया. So the number of photons crossing a given area in unit time increases. Intensity is energy crossing by area by time. How do we increase intensity? By increasing the number of photons. Number of photons crossing by area by time increases. A brighter light of the same frequency will have more photons crossing per unit area per unit time. Okay, that's the idea. Brighter light, more photons. So basically changing intensity of light. So changing intensity of light means changing the intensity of the photons. Okay, changing intensity of light means changing the intensity of the photons. All right, so Yash is asking a nice question, very debatable. Are intensity and frequency totally independent quantities? The answer is no. Intensity depends on frequency. Intensity actually बढ़ेगा frequency के साथ, क्योंकि frequency बढ़ाने में photon का energy बढ़ता है, तो intensity भी बढ़ता है. But forget them as quantities, them as variables in an experiment. Okay, them as variables in an experiment, they are independent. Them as variables on a graph, they are independent. Okay, when we say light का intensity बढ़ाओ, है ना? So light का intensity बढ़ाना does not mean red light के जगह purple light, violet light use करना. Light का intensity बढ़ाना means just make it brighter. ठीक है, red light use करो और bright कर दो. So that's kind of the idea. Same light का intensity बढ़ाओ. So don't change the frequency, just increase the intensity. Okay, so that's kind of the idea. So intensity of light usually means intensity of photons. ज़्यादा photon गिर रहा है. H nu हर photon का energy same है, but number of photons in that beam of light passing through a cross section given time, वो number of photons बढ़ता है. All right. So that was a brief look at the particle nature of light. No doubt so far. Sorry. Great. So let's see the photoelectric experimental setup. Okay. So we have, like I showed a little bit earlier, we have this kind of evacuated chamber because you don't want any air inside to be colliding with our electrons. So we have an evacuated chamber. We have a negative plate and a positive plate. The negative plate is called as the cathode. The positive plate is called as the anode. And you can get very confused with these names. So I'll just say, remember that the negative plate is called the cathode. Okay. The reason people get confused is cathode में reduction होता है ना? And reduction means a gain of electrons. So then I also get confused. अरे यार यहाँ पे इसको ये gain of electrons कहाँ हो रहा है? यहाँ पे तो मुझे दिख रहा है electron निकल रहा है. Why is this called a cathode then? So then I looked up. So basically the way they give these names has to do with the battery, has to do with how they are reacting to the battery. वैसे तो cathode पे net कुछ change नहीं आ रहा है, वो electron यहाँ से emit कर रहा है और वहाँ से electron gain कर रहा है. We fail to see कि वो battery से भी gain हो रहा है. Electron emit कर रहा है और battery से gain कर रहा है. The way it is defined is based on how it's coming from the battery. ये थोड़ा side note है. Battery से ये electron खींच रहा है, यहाँ से electron फेंक रहा है, battery से electron खींच रहा है. So it's gaining electrons from the battery. Hence battery के perspective से that is going to be called as a cathode, because gaining electrons is reduction. यहाँ पे reduction हो रहा है, यहाँ पे oxidation हो रहा है, तो ठीक है, मतलब हो रहा है redox in that sense. Chemical reaction नहीं हो रहा है, but there is a reduction process and an oxidation process. There is a cathode and there is an anode. Even at the cathode itself, there is, from एक side से वो electron ले रहा है, दूसरे side से electron दे रहा है. So there is actually no net change for the cathode, but it's just technically called as the cathode. So just remember, emitter plate is definitely a better word. Okay, and we'll have no problem with that. Emitter plate is emitting electrons. Yeah, but just in case they use the word cathode and anode, I am going to use them in these diagrams so that you remember electron cathode se nikalta hai. Cathode se nikalta hai. Okay. Acha. Now, what else we have in this diagram? So we see ki, acha, we see that the positive terminal is usually connected to the other end. And logically, you can see why that makes sense. By making this negative and by making this guy positive, the cathode is going to want to repel these electrons and the anode is going to want to pull these electrons, further ensuring key electrons manage to reach the anode. Because once electrons reach the anode, then the circuit is complete. The same electron can again go around in a loop. So you have current being established in that, or a current photocurrent being set up in that circuit, right? So that's the reason why the anode is why the battery is normally set up this way. But that said, this is going to be a variable voltage. Leonard and Hallwatch, they made some so they have performed variations. Okay, they have performed certain variations where the batteries terminal will also be inverted. Right, so we'll see that in a little while. So this potential right now is set up this way, but it could also be inverted later on. We have an ammeter to measure the strength of the photocurrent, which is what Leonard and Hallwatch were trying to do. Let me check one doubt from these guys. Sir, but electrons go from the anode to, so it's going from the anode to the, so that's the thing. See, यहाँ से यहाँ इलेक्ट्रॉन जा रहा है, यहाँ से यहाँ भी इलेक्ट्रॉन जा रहा है, क्योंकि सी दोनों हो रहा है. बैटरी के रिस्पेक्ट में किससे जा रहा है? That's how they give the name. Okay. I myself am not a fan of this entire cathode anode business. I would just prefer negative and positive. Life easy hai. But yeah, so it's debatable. अभी कोई ऐसा देखेगा तो बोलेगा अरे ये प्लेट तो इलेक्ट्रॉन गेन कर रहा है. This should be the cathode. But यहाँ से देखेगा तो देखेगा अरे ये तो लूज कर रहा है. That should be the anode. So technically they give these names. It may be a little confusing. In the beginning, they give these names on the basis of the battery, like what's happening through the battery, what's happening inside the circuit. Circuit के respect में, battery के respect में क्या हो रहा है? Battery के respect में वो anode electron दे रहा है battery को, जो बाद में electron दे रहा है cathode को. So then what you just said is justified. बिल्कुल हो रहा है. Electrons anode से cathode ही जा रहा है through the battery. और वो through the battery वाला जो हो रहा है उसके हिसाब से ये लोग ने नाम दिया है. उन लोग ने नाम दिया. Can blame them. But I hope you understood. And the more you try to apply logic, the more you may mess up something. You just try to remember it's the cathode which emits the electron. नहीं यार, आगे है solving. अब देखो, when an electron absorbs a photon, it gets the kinetic energy of h nu. Okay, so when an electron absorbs a photon, it gets the kinetic energy of f nu, h nu. If this energy is greater than the work function, it can escape the metal. Right? That's what we know. But as I mentioned earlier, there's no guarantee that a specific electron would escape. It may or may not escape. तुम ज़्यादा energy दो work function से, फिर भी guarantee नहीं है कि एक specific electron escape करेगा. It may collide with someone and lose all of that energy. ठीक है? But there's no guarantee it would escape. Okay? But it has the possibility of escaping if you apply an energy greater than the work function. However, if you don't give an energy, however, if it does manage to escape, and imagine it manages to escape without losing any energy, then the maximum kinetic energy it can have in that case, once it escapes, is h nu minus phi. h nu उसको मिला light के photon से, phi चला गया, metal ने खाया phi, है ना? तो बचा हुआ जो एनर्जी है इलेक्ट्रॉन के साथ is h nu minus phi. This is called as Einstein's photoelectric equation. It's like this is like your salary coming in. Light salary दे रहा है, h nu एक पैकेट मिल गया every month, salary आ गया. and this is the tax that the government is taking away. So you can imagine, if your salary is more than your tax, well and good for you. You can escape. The salary is less than your tax, then you're screwed. That's the idea. And sometimes salary आया, tax कम है, but फिर भी आसपास के लोगों ने चोरी किया, you're left with nothing, right? So that's kind of what's happening when the electron collides with the neighboring lattice before it can leave. H nu मिला, metal को दिया, phi का रोकना, but फिर भी निकल नहीं पा रहा है because surrounding atoms have eaten up its energy. Anyway, so max kinetic energy that the electron can have is h nu minus phi. Any doubt on this page? This is Einstein's famous photoelectric equation. I'm just reading one of your doubts. This is the case when the voltage is greater than the breaking potential of the capacitor. Absolutely not. We are not using voltage over here to emit electrons at all. That would be field emission. Okay, यहाँ पे the voltage can be as low, it can be zero as well. फिर भी photoelectric effect होगा. It can be little negative as well. फिर भी photoelectric effect होगा. We are not relying on the electric field to break down the in a way, break the electrons out of the metal. We are not using the battery to do that. We are using light. Light energy दे रहा है. Light के energy के कारण निकल रहा है. एक बार वो निकला, देखो निकलना has to do just with light. The निकलना वाला aspect has to do with the light and the metal का work function. एक बार निकल गया, निकलने के बाद वो किधर जाता है, निकला कुछ एनर्जी के साथ, वो निकलने के बाद टू फर्दर इंश्योर कि ये यहाँ से यहाँ जाता है और एनोड में ऑब्जॉर्ब होता है, उसके लिए ये इसको नेगेटिव रखा है टू पुश द इलेक्ट्रॉन अपार्ट, और इसको पॉजिटिव रखा है टू पुल द इलेक्ट्रॉन टुवर्ड्स इट. ओके, या that's all what the potential difference is there for. It's there to attract the already emitted electrons towards the anode. Is there to attract the already emitted photoelectrons towards the anode. It's not there to cause emission. Okay? All right. All right, no doubt in this. Moving on. Threshold frequency. All right, so threshold frequency is the minimum frequency needed for emission. How do you find this? Simple सी बात है. अभी वो है ना, your salary is this, इतना energy, इतना salary मिल रहा है ना, the just minimum needed for you to survive is when your incoming salary is all getting lost in your tax and your debts. So h nu minimum is 5. Photon से जो मिल रहा है उतना energy just electron work metal को दे के निकल पा रहा है. So this is the minimum energy needed for emission. All of the incoming energy from the photon that the electron absorbed has been lost to the metal in this case. So it's just emitting, just escaping the metal with a kinetic energy of 0. Or you can say it's also just not escaping the metal. दोनों बोल सकते हैं. But either way, so h nu is 5, h nu is 5 से nu का value आता है. So this is the minimum frequency. इससे ज़्यादा frequency, ज़्यादा salary, good for the electron. You can definitely have photoelectric effect. इससे कम frequency पे you cannot have photoelectric effect. इसका उल्टा is in a way related to the opposite of reciprocal of this is your threshold wavelength. है ना, तो कम frequency मतलब कम energy, ज़्यादा wavelength मतलब कम energy. Frequency and wavelength are in a way like they are inversely proportional. So low frequency is low energy and high wavelength is low energy. तो wavelength बढ़ाते जाओगे तो एक wavelength बढ़ाने में photon का energy कम होता है. There is a max wavelength जिसके beyond photon का energy इतना कम होगा कि emission ना हो पाएगा. Same scene होगा, photon का energy salary has to be equal to tax. Photon का energy hc by lambda max has to be equal to the work function. All right, so in that case you get lambda max as hc by 5. All right, so this is the max. This is also called as a threshold wavelength. इससे ज़्यादा wavelength दोगे तो photon का energy work function से कम हो जाएगा and you will not have photoelectric emission. All right, so this is your max lambda. You can either use hc by 5, or if you already have your threshold frequency, you can use C by frequency. If you have the frequency, you can get the wavelength, corresponding wavelength. Lambda is C upon frequency. Okay, speed by frequency. For this is where you could use that shortcut I said. 1 by 4.15 is 0.24. You could use that. ना H नीचे है, तो threshold frequency के लिए वो काम है. Any other doubt on this page before I proceed? Okay, great. So everyone's picking up stuff. All right, now, so now imagine the photoelectric experiment is on its way. Again, these emissions are taking place, but now at any given point of time, you will find the region between the cathode and the anode has charges present. Those charges are on their way from the cathode to the anode. Okay, they don't go at the speed of light. These electrons have some finite kinetic energy. So they move. They're moving with some velocity from the cathode to the anode. But at any given point of time, you'll find some electrons in this region on their way from cathode to anode, just like you find cars on the road at any given point of time. So the charge of the electrons found between the anode and the cathode at any point of time is called as the space charge. Okay, so we have just given it a name. We're not going to calculate it, but we're just given it a name. Let the electrons between the cathode and the anode be called as space charge, because there's a charge in that space. Now, this charge repels electrons further emitted by the cathode, thus reducing the number of photoelectrons reaching the anode. See what's happening. Okay, electrons are getting emitted because of light ka frequency. Yes, Yash, you could say that, yes, in a way. All right, so electrons are getting emitted due to light ka frequency being greater than the work function. Some are getting emitted, some are not. That is not changing. Okay, emission ho raha hai based on light and work function. Okay, electrons are getting emitted. Now, क्या है, ये जो इलेक्ट्रॉन अब एमिट होता है उस पे अब तीन चीज हो रहा है. पहले तो कैथोड नेगेटिव है. कैथोड नेगेटिव होने के कारण कैथोड उस इलेक्ट्रॉन को रिपेल कर रहा है, ऐसा धक्का दे रहा है. उसके ऊपर ये एनोड पॉजिटिव है, राइट. तो पॉजिटिव होने के कारण एनोड भी इलेक्ट्रॉन को राइट की तरफ खींच रहा है. So both the cathode and the anode are pushing the electron towards the right. But you can imagine what the space charge is doing. This space charge is repelling the electron back to the metallic plate, back to the cathode. So if the electron did not have sufficient kinetic energy, remember H nu minus work function is the max kinetic energy. All right, that's the max an electron can escape with. Like that's the max a person can have, salary minus tax. Certain other people who have fallen into debt will have to pay a lot of debts. So unka fir salary minus tax minus credit card bills वगैरह रहेगा. But max you can live off is salary minus tax, right? So electron भी वैसा उसका max kinetic energy will be H2 minus phi. But there are electrons which collide with other atoms, so they are emitted with lesser than that energy. So electrons emitted with low energy, sufficiently low energy, they would be repelled by the space charge and sent back to the cathode. Back to the cathode. So electrons with sufficiently low energy are repelled back to the cathode. Electrons with high enough energy penetrate to the space, are not repelled by the space charge and manage to reach the anode. So that's kind of the idea. So all the electrons emitted are not able to reach the anode. Not all the electrons emitted are able to reach the anode. However, if the voltage in the above diagram is increased, then the space charges effect will be countered, and we can ensure that all emitted electrons, even those with 0 ke, reach the anode. तो अब फंडा क्या है? अगर हम इसके पोटेंशियल को बढ़ाएंगे, so this is one of the reasons why the potential is there in the first place. वो स्पेस चार्ज इलेक्ट्रॉन को वापस भेजने की कोशिश कर रहा है ना, इसलिए थोड़ा हम पोटेंशियल पहले से दे रहे हैं, ठीक है? पोटेंशियल नहीं भी हुआ तो भी कुछ एनर्जेटिक इलेक्ट्रॉन्स जा सकते हैं, but to further help electrons actually reach the anode, we are giving this kind of potential. We are making the electron anode positive and the cathode negative. Potential difference और बढ़ाया, कैथोड को और नेगेटिव किया, एनोड को और पॉजिटिव किया, तो ये जो फोर्स रहेगा ना, जिससे एनोड इलेक्ट्रॉन को खींच रहा है, और फोर्स जिससे कैथोड इलेक्ट्रॉन को धक्का दे रहा है, वो और बढ़ जाएगा. तो with this increased force, the effect of our space charge will be countered completely. So in this case, we can expect that even those electrons which are emitted with just zero kinetic energy are able to reach the anode. Even those emitted with just zero kinetic energy, they are able to reach the anode. Okay. In this situation, when every single emitted electron reaches the anode, in that situation, the current through the circuit is called as the saturation current. So, उस situation में जो current दिखेगा, that is called as saturation current. Why saturation? Because that's like the max current you can have. Okay, that's the max current you can have. इसमें सारे के सारे जो electrons emit हो रहे हैं, वो anode तक पहुंच रहे हैं. ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि मान लो है ना, जितना fraction emit होता है वो अभी भी same है. जैसे मान लो 100 photons गिरा और 100 photons के लिए 20 electron emit हुआ. There's some kind of fraction, some ratio जितना emit होगा. We don't know what the ratio is. But 100 photons के लिए मान लो 20 electron emit हो गया, ठीक है? अब वो 20 इलेक्ट्रॉन में से स्पेस चार्ज के कारण हो सकता है 10 ही इलेक्ट्रॉन एनोड की तरफ पहुंचे या 5 इलेक्ट्रॉन एनोड की तरफ पहुंचे. तो बाय increasing this potential difference, we can ensure all 20 reach the anode. When all 20 reach the anode, every single emitted electron reaches the anode, then the current in the circuit is called as saturation current. We can't change कि given light से और मतलब given light से कितना इलेक्ट्रॉन निकलेगा वो चेंज नहीं कर सकता, वो फील्ड एमिशन हो जाएगा. वो एमिशन सिर्फ लाइट के कारण हो रहा है. गिवन लाइट से these plates are far apart and potential difference not that high. गिवन लाइट से जो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स एमिट होगा है ना, वो एक फिक्स रेशियो होगा. मान लो ऐसा 100 फोटोन से 20 इलेक्ट्रॉन ही निकलता है. एक बार वो निकल गए सारे के सारे अगर एनोड तक जा रहे हैं, so then that current is called as saturation current. If we increase the intensity of light, that means we are increasing the intensity of the photons. Remember, by default, increasing intensity of light means not changing frequency. सिर्फ number of photons को बढ़ाना, वही frequency रख के bright light use करना. In that case, more photo electrons are emitted. क्यों? ज्यादा photon गिर रहे हैं. मैं अभी बोला कि अगर मान लो 100 photons के लिए 20 इलेक्ट्रॉन निकलता है, तो 1000 photon के लिए 200 इलेक्ट्रॉन निकलेगा. Get the idea ना? Let's say 20% of them leave. तो ज्यादा photons मतलब ज्यादा electrons emit हो जाएंगे. ज्यादा electrons emit हो जाएंगे तो ज्यादा saturation current. वो saturation current में सारे emitted electrons reach the anode, greater the saturation current. However, if we increase the frequency अगर बढ़ाएंगे और intensity change नहीं, मतलब number of brightness intensely change नहीं कर रहे, बस frequency अगर बढ़ाने गए, frequency change करने गए, so if we increase the frequency and don't change the number of photons, then saturation current does not change. क्योंकि frequency बढ़ाने पे only Kmax changes. Saturation current को Kmax से क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Saturation current is the one where even 0 Ke particles are reaching the anode. To add saturation current, even the weakest, slowest particles are also reaching the anode. So we don't care about how fast is the fastest particle. Saturation में वैसे भी सब anode पहुंच रहे हैं. फ्रीक्वेंसी बढ़ाने पे फास्टेस्ट पार्टिकल का स्पीड बढ़ेगा, एनर्जी बढ़ेगा, k max बढ़ेगा. Saturation current doesn't depend on that. It depends on number of photo electrons emitted, which will increase if more light falls, more photon falls, more number of photons fall. More number of photons fall, that will imply more electrons emitted, that will imply greater saturation current. Did you guys understand this idea? Okay. Last part वापस. अच्छा यार, फ्रीक्वेंसी बढ़ाने के कारण ना एच न्यू बढ़ता है, और एच न्यू के कारण के मैक्स बढ़ता है ना. बट सैचुरेशन करंट को के मैक्स से फर्क पड़ेगा ही नहीं. सैचुरेशन करंट इज द वन वेयर एवरीवन एमिटेड रीचेस द एनोड. By changing frequency, we are just ensuring कि the one which is emitted with max kinetic energy gets emitted with an even greater kinetic energy, but it is not changing the number of total electrons emitted, right? Saturation current depends on the number of total electrons emitted. As long as that is the same, number of total electrons emitted is the same, your saturation current is going to be the same. So frequency will not cause more electrons to get emitted. It will just make the fastest electrons faster. It will just increase K max. Okay, great. We'll see we'll see how this has a graph and all. Like Leonard and Hallwatch came up with graphs of how saturation current, how in general the photo current varies with the potential of the battery. So we'll see that, and we'll see the effect of intensity and frequency on those graphs. But before that, there's one more point. That is this point of the stopping potential. Okay, let me clear this down, sir. But current is directly proportional to the drift velocity. Okay, that's what you're saying. So why more velocity doesn't mean more current? So please understand one thing. You're confusing two things. You're confusing the velocity with which the electron is headed towards the anode with the drift velocity inside this metal, inside the wire. They aren't connected, right? Because see, what is going to determine what is ultimately going to happen is the cause and effect में confuse हो रहे हैं. ये electron जितना velocity से anode को hit करता है, that's an independent concept. वो ज्यादा velocity से hit करता है या कम velocity से hit करता है, ultimately current is charge falling on the anode by time. है ना? So current is basically now related to the number of electrons reaching the anode in a given interval of time. It doesn't matter if the electrons reach fast or reach slow. वो कैसे भी स्पीड से पहुंचे, ऐसा नहीं है कि वो वही स्पीड से अंदर वायर के अंदर जाता है. इट्स नॉट लाइक अ माउस गोइंग थ्रू अ टनल. वो इलेक्ट्रॉन जाके इट्स गोना देन गो एंड कोलाइड विद द लैटिस ऑफ द मेटल इन द एनोड, ठीक है, and then they'll further repel electrons, and so the speed is not directly related. The speed with which the electron hits the anode is not related to the drift velocity inside the wire. Rather, the number of electrons falling on the anode will affect how much charge is falling on the anode in a given interval of time. So that will affect the amount of current which should move away from the anode towards the, rather, that will affect the number of electrons which will move away from the anode towards the positive terminal. वो जब move करेगा, that current and the features of the wire will ultimately set up the drift velocity. So current fixed हो जाता है, फिर current से accordingly there will be a drift velocity in the wire based on the resistance of the wire and other factors of the wire. I hope you got the idea. Based on the area of the wire, then there will accordingly be a drift velocity. It's not that drift velocity is not the same as the velocity with which the electron hits the anode. Okay. Then one, if you're saying already the speed is very high and hence we cannot make any significant increment, I wouldn't say the speed is high, because we are saying kinetic energy can even be zero. It can be anything between h and 5. So ऐसा नहीं बोल रहे कि speed is going to be very high. Of course, because the electrons are light, there's a chance that the speed will be large, no doubt. But yeah, we're not really taking that into consideration. One of you saying, when frequency is increased, won't it help the electrons repelling from the space charge to move to the anode more effectively? So, I agree. So you're saying if frequency is increasing, it will help the electrons emitted to move more effectively because there is a chance that the same electrons have higher energy. That's true. But we are talking about our saturation current. जब anyways हमने potential इतना high रखा है कि हम space charge को negligible कर रहे हैं. We are talking about saturation current. Got it? We are talking about the saturation current where anyways we are ensuring that all the electrons emitted are ultimately reaching the anode. Got it? All the electrons emitted are ultimately reaching the anode. And so in that case, in that scenario, when all the electrons are reaching the anode, we are using a higher potential where ultimately the space charge effect is neglected. Now, Purna, even what you're saying ki, but if they are faster in a given time, technically more electrons should hit the anode as compared to when they are slower. That's right. So if I just step to this graph for a second, not this one. तो ऐसा you're right. तो जैसा अगर I wanted to come to this graph later. तो at a higher frequency, ये बात सही है कि at a higher frequency at any given voltage, the saturation, I mean the current you see will be more. That's true. But we are talking about the value it tends to. We are talking about the saturation current, where its final value is such that at a given amount of time, all the electrons are able to reach the anode. Right? So if you set a dt time interval, I understood what you're trying to say. Let's say if I set a dt time interval, high frequency में 20 के 20 इलेक्ट्रॉन एनोड तक पहुंच रहे हैं, बट उस dt टाइम इंटरवल में लोअर फ्रीक्वेंसी में 20 के 20 नहीं पहुंच रहे हैं. मान लो ये सेइंग कि 20 में से 15 पहुंचेंगे, because there are some which are considerably slower. But now the idea is we are considering the saturation current, the value this tends to, when every electron emitted in our given amount of time does manage to reach the anode. So while higher frequency ka graph will always be above this lower frequency ka graph, they tend to the same value asymptotically at a large enough frequency where the effect of the space charge is completely negligible. And at a higher frequency, you'll have the electrons moving quite quickly to the anode as well. They'll accelerate pretty fast. So eventually they tend to the same value. Did I answer your doubt, Purna and Sarthak? Great. Okay. That was actually a nice doubt. Yeah, coming back to this. If I'll come back to those diagrams. Sorry guys, if I scared you, but I'll come back to that. Filal, yahan pe just we'll talk about stopping potential as well, and then we'll go to those diagrams. So stopping potential is basically something you'll find if you invert the battery. So if you give, according to this diagram, if you take V as negative, okay, that means you reverse the polarity of the battery. then it's going to become more difficult for the electrons to reach the anode. Okay, it's not going to change how the electrons are emitted. That only depends on light and phi. Emission is only of light and phi. Unka funda hai. But a negative polarity, what will that do? It will, once the electrons are emitted, it will make it more difficult for that electron to reach the anode. It will make it more difficult for the electron to reach the anode. So at a particular V called as the stopping potential, even the most energetic photoelectron cannot reach the anode. Even the most energetic one, the one moving with Kmax energy, वो भी anode तक पहुंच नहीं पा रहा है. In that scenario, you will ensure कि current होगा ही नहीं. तो at a negative potential, जब इस बैटरी का polarity उल्टा होगा, you will ensure even the most energetic photoelectron जो affect भी नहीं हो रहा है space charge से, वो भी anode तक पहुंच नहीं पा रहा है. So that stopping potential where you're sure कि nobody is going to reach the anode, that stopping potential is Vs. Okay, and how do we find that? Rest of the funda simple hai. You can directly say Kmax, that energy that got lost, kinetic energy that got lost, went into the increase in the potential energy. So loss in kinetic is increase in potential. You can directly equate the magnitudes. Loss in kinetic energy is Kmax, increase in potential is E into V. E into potential, E into stopping potential. So you could directly get that answer, and I'm sure you know that. But just like a walkthrough once with all the signs and all. So loss in kinetic is increase in potential. Loss is always initial minus final. Loss is initial minus final. Initial kinetic energy of the electron, most energetic electron, is h nu minus phi. Final kinetic energy where it just reaches the anode, but again, just misses it. That final kinetic energy is 0 because it is going to stop just before the anode. So that's loss in kinetic energy, h nu minus phi. Gain in potential energy is Q into delta V, electrostatics. Q is minus E. Delta V, यहाँ से यहाँ जाओगे, potential difference देखो उल्टा है, anode is negative this time. तो यहाँ से यहाँ जाओगे तो delta V is minus Vs. Delta V is minus Vs. Okay, so we'll get h nu minus hatke, we get h nu minus phi is equal to E Vs. H nu minus phi is E Vs. So h nu minus phi by E is your stopping potential, or you can say it is Kmax by E. Of course, you can skip all of this and just use magnitudes as well. Loss Kmax is EV. I mean, you can do that as well. That also is fine. I'm just derived it once with the signs and all of that. So conceptually, this is how it's done, but you can use shortcuts. You can only work with magnitude. Potential बढ़ेगा EVS से, kinetic energy कम होगा Kmax से. तो Kmax और EVS बराबर है. Kmax और E into Vs बराबर है. That's your stopping potential, which I'm sure you know in atomic structure as well. Now, यहाँ पे just observe कि how clearly stopping potential increases with frequency. सीधी सी बात है, frequency बढ़ेगा तो stopping potential बढ़ेगा. ज्यादा energetic light है तो Kmax बढ़ेगा. Stopping potential is the one where you have to stop Kmax. You're not worried about the weaker ones. Although anyways, लौट रहा है. You're worried about the strongest one. The frequency increases the kinetic energy, max kinetic energy of the emitted photoelectron. उसको रोकने के लिए Vs को और बढ़ाना पड़ेगा. Okay, so if frequency increases, Vs increases. Moreover, as it only concerns the most energetic photon, I'm sorry, yeah, it should be, yeah, that's wrong. Moreover, as it only concerns the most energetic photoelectron, okay, photoelectron, as it only concerns the most energetic photoelectron, it doesn't depend on the number of photoelectrons emitted, and thus doesn't depend on the intensity of light. Okay, so stopping potential light के intensity पे depend नहीं करता है, क्योंकि लाइट का इंटेंसिटी नंबर ऑफ फोटो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स एमिटेड बढ़ाएगा। ये बस मोस्ट एनर्जेटिक वाला को रोकने की कोशिश कर रहा है, मोस्ट एनर्जेटिक वाला को रोकने की कोशिश कर रहा है, right? Like if a teacher wants to design one question in the JEE exam which nobody can solve, he doesn't have to worry about all 2 lakh how many students are giving, right? If a teacher has to design one question in the exam which nobody can solve, he doesn't care whether 2 lakh students are appearing or 5 lakh students are appearing. He has to think about what the brightest student, what somebody would get rank 1, what his intellectual ability is, and he'll have to create a question which that guy can't solve. So aisa scene hai. BS doesn't care about how many photo electrons are emitted. 2 lakh ho, 5 lakh ho, जो brightest है, जो strongest, fastest photo electron है, उसको रोकना है, तो VS will accordingly match up to that fastest photo electrons energy. I hope you got the idea. Any doubt on this page? No doubt? Yes, enough. Let's we spent like some of the starting time. Let's just see the graphs. We have not done any solving. Why enough? Why this mental fatigue? थोड़ा एक दो graph देख लेते हैं, then we'll call it. ठीक है? We anyways spent 15 minutes today just talking. तो थोड़ा graph देख लेते हैं, and then we'll call it. So IV graph. How does that look? Just try to understand the graph in this context. So your IV graph, current versus potential का graph, as we saw कि जब potential बहुत positive होगा, so it will ensure कि all of the current emitted from the cathode reaches the anode. So the asymptotic value, the value this tends to, the max current this can have, where all the emitted electrons are reaching the anode is your saturation current. So that looks like this in the graph. And then when you switch over to the other side, here the voltage is negative, and then we are reversing the polarity of the battery. And this is going to, in a way, try to send back the outgoing electrons. So the polarity at which even the most energetic electron cannot reach, and there is absolutely zero current, that polarity is your stopping potential. So this is how the IV graph looks for your for this photoelectric effect. Okay, just to clarify, we just two more pages, यही graph देख रहा हूँ और ज़्यादा कुछ कर नहीं रहा हूँ. Just to clarify, small I is what I will use to represent current. Capital I is what I'll use to represent intensity. Nu, the Greek alphabet, which looks like a V. Nu is what I'll use to represent frequency. And capital V is what I'll use to represent potential difference. Okay. So the IV graph, normally the saturation current question is normally quite theoretical. IV graph अगर अलग intensities के लिए पूछेंगे, है ना? Okay, so अलग intensity, same frequency. So you'll need to remember the points I mentioned कि intensity से ये नहीं change होता है, number of photons change होता है. Number of photons से stopping potential को कोई लेना देना नहीं है ना? Somebody wants to design a tough question. He doesn't care whether 2 lakh students are giving, 5 lakh students are giving. He has to match with the smartest student. तो वैसे ही है. Stopping potential only depends on the most energetic photoelectron. Stopping potential only depends on the frequency. It's not directly proportional. मैंने लिखा है ऐसा just to say it increases with frequency. It's not directly proportional. Straight line equation है. But IS is directly proportional to intensity. Saturation current increases with intensity. So the point is कि ज़्यादा intensity light will have ज्यादा saturation current. So I1 will be greater than I2, greater than I3. But if they all have the same frequencies, they will all have the same stopping potential. Okay, so that's how IV graph looks for different intensities. Think how this graph will look for the same intensity but different frequencies. Same intensity means same saturation current. Different frequency means different stopping potentials. Okay, so it's quite simple. Last page for today. Same intensity, same intensity. Okay, same intensity. Of course, why same intensity? Because same intensity ke liye same saturation current, my bad. So they have asymptotically the same value. And larger different frequencies ke liye different stopping potentials. तो ज्यादा frequency मतलब ज्यादा energy का photo electron निकल रहा है तो ज्यादा stopping potential चाहिए. तो new one के लिए stopping potential ज्यादा है तो new one is greater than new two, greater than new three. Hope you guys got the idea. है ना? Higher frequency, higher stopping potential. Intensity same है तो ये part graph का same होगा. तुम जो बाकी थोड़ा बोल रहे थे, some of you were saying कि है ना, अगर frequency ज्यादा होगा तो electrons faster निकलेंगे, they'll be less affected by the space charge, they will reach the anode in lesser time, तो current थोड़ा ज्यादा होना चाहिए. बिल्कुल बात सही है, but the difference you're talking about is significant for small voltages. Large voltages, what this value is tending to, where every single photoelectron manages to reach your anode in your given time interval, then ultimately in that scenario, the value this graph tends to will be the same if the intensity of the light is the same. Okay. Yeah. Stopping potential can never be. See, positive stopping potential anyways is the magnitude of that thing. So I mean, even if this graph is at -5, no, I'll not say stopping potential is -5. I'll say stopping potential is 5. Even if I say minus, it would mean कि वो polarity उल्टा है. But I understand what you mean. Stopping potential कभी ऐसे polarity के लिए नहीं हो सकता है. If that's what you're saying, then no. Because most energetic photoelectron तो anyways emit हो रहा है. Most energetic photoelectron तो anode तक पहुंचेगा ही. So even if there is zero potential, even if cathode and anode were not charged, space charge would send back some of the electrons, but at least the most energetic photoelectron, somebody would reach the anode. So space charge wale electrons at least would reach the anode. So somebody would reach the anode. है ना? So there will always be a current even if B is zero. There will always be a current even if B is zero. That portion will always be there. Okay, guys, I'll stop here. I think you had a grueling test yesterday. Please, guys, please analyze the test. यही अब मेन फर्क लाएगा. You've all studied your PCM, you've worked hard all these years. अब फर्क आएगा based on how you respond to these tests and how you learn from it. Anyone wants to message me personally, and some of you said quite a few things I wasn't able to address it as a class. Please, you need any help, any advice, please message me personally. You have my number. You can do that. I can do counseling in the middle of my lecture hours, but baki time, of course, you can use that and you can see. Okay, chalo. Bye bye. Ask your other teacher if he's also willing to take the paper. I have a little time crunch on my track. Ask him if he's willing to discuss the paper. If he's not, then we'll tell Pace to schedule a doubt session, extra doubt session, and then we'll discuss. Your timetable itself, we'll schedule one. Okay, bye-bye.